Welcome to Dark Horizon Creations and part 4 of our video series, Let's Paint a Warthog. We are in the home stretch here. This is going to be a really quick video, and then we will complete this series with part 5 on repainting the Master Chief that you see in the upper right hand corner of the screen. And one of the things that I mentioned in the previous video was this M41 LAAG, the end of the barrel was warped, and that's because it was made out of this soft plastic. And you can see I've pretty much addressed that by running it under some hot water and trying to straighten it out. Now, if that technique doesn't work, I have one other that will. You could take the gun and we'll go ahead and put it in the truck and attach it like so. And what you can do is get a really small zip tie like this and wrap it underneath the gun and zip tie it down to hold it in that position. And you'll have to leave it like that for a few days. I'm not going to leave that tight because I'm going to cut that off. But you can do that, and what it will do is force the plastic to remain in that position and keep it from bending. So if you have issues with soft plastic like that, that's a technique that you can use. And it's very convenient for this because the truck has that roll cage, and it looks like the hot water straightened out. So we have the radio antenna. It plugs into that port right here, and let's see, I got it in there the wrong way. I still have it in the wrong way. It only goes in one direction. There we go. Like that. And the radio antenna is in. So now we want to turn our attention to the rear of the vehicle. You can see we have some wet spots back here. Need to be addressed. That isn't going to work for what we want to do. Clean this up a little bit. I want it to look dirty but not sloppy. And you guys can see, I mean, there's no trade secrets here. There's nothing, excuse me, proprietary about this whole process. You know. And it's just that easy to clean up. One thing I do want to do is I want to take some more of our brown oxide and I want to dry brush it onto our step bar back here, as well as trying to make it look like all areas of the vehicle have experienced the mud hole, because they have. And what I'm going to do is allow that to dry just the way that it is. That's going to look really cool. So there are 4 gas cans, and you will see that 3 of them, these 3, are shaped like this, and they have this port on the back that goes into these plugs. One is turned in the opposite direction like this. No, it's this one. Sorry, one's got 2 ports on the back. It plugs in right here. The other 3 plug in here. So before we attach those, I'm going to dry brush some of this black on there, and then I'm going to wipe it back down. And you ask, why am I doing that? To give it a greasy, stained look, because oftentimes you'll see that fuel cans look like this. And you can do this with a wash. It is a little bit time consuming. The way I'm doing it is a lot faster. Albeit you do have to allow them to dry, because once I paint this on, what's going to happen, I mean, of course you can see the paint is still wet. But this is a technique that I don't want to say I came up with it, but it's how I started out painting toys. You know, dry brushing things on, and some things I paint while they're still wet. And I found that it works for me. I don't do everything that way, but some things I do. And you guys can see how that's turning out. And we'll take that one and go ahead and plug it. Plug it in. And they're just going to sit there like that. They're not going to go anywhere. And you can see how they look. You know, if you want it to look a little bit grimier, come back and wipe some more on. Like that. There's the one on this side. And you can even go across the top, see how shiny that is. And then just take your Q-tip and wipe off the excess. Like that. And this last one just plugs straight into there. And I have to say, I really, really like this Warthog. I like this better than the McFarlane from 2010. The only thing I hope that Wicked Cool Toys does is that they give us interchangeable weapon stations, like the Gauss cannon and the rocket launcher. I would love to see that for this scale. So now we're going to come and take some of the brown oxide, same brush, and we are going to put some on the cans here, on the side. And I'm going to go across the bottom with it. Then I'll come back and take my Q-tip and wipe off what I don't want on there. I just want it to look like it's been splashed with mud as well. And that's all there is to it. Those are your fuel cans. Well, a little bit there needs to come off. There we go. That looks realistic. Now, before we actually start on the cannon, we're going to start on this part. This is the ammo belt for it. So what I'm going to do here is, again, I'm going to take some of the black. I'm going to dry brush that on because I want to bring out the details of the ammo belt. I'll wipe off the excess off of the surface. And I'm also doing this to give the next paint app something to grab onto. And you're going to do both sides the same way. Because it's this soft rubbery material, you have to start somewhere with something as a base coat or a primer, because if you don't, it's not going to stick. Now, a large part here plugs into the port on the gun like that, and then a smaller part plugs in there. Like so. And there's your ammo belt. Now, gunmetal gray. Take this, shake it up, and we're not going to use a lot of this because this stuff is really thick. Get it on the brush and then just wipe it off until there's barely any on there. That's what you're going to do with it. And see how it makes it stand out? And you can see I'm doing the edges of the ammo belt as well. I'll come around here on this side. Do the back side of it. Turn around here. Maybe around like this, where I can get to that side. Yeah. Okay. Now, this next part is completely up to you. On the end of the barrels, I like to dry brush that black, because during and after a weapon's fired like this, you know, if you guys don't understand how ballistics works, when a cartridge, what most people call a bullet, is not a bullet. The cartridge is made up of your shell casing, your primer at the base, your charge inside the casing, your powder, and then the bullet is seated at the top of the shell casing and crimped in. So when your cartridge loads into the chamber and you pull the trigger, the firing pin strikes the primer on the base of the cartridge, which is a very small charge that ignites the main charge. And it's basically a small controlled explosion which sends the bullet down the barrel. And all those hot gases and powder follow or chase the bullet down the barrel, and that's what creates the flash that you see. And you have essentially dried powder and things like that on the end of your barrel. So you're going to have something that looks like this. And take a Q-tip and come back. Kind of wipe that down a little bit. It's going to look something like that. You know, and you can dry brush this now on both sides and the top. See the details here where the side is, things like that. And then come down to pin tool mount. Just dry brush that on the side of the ammo box there. Maybe a little bit on the sides of the blast plate. And again, if you want to use a wash doing this, you can. I just prefer dry brushing it on a lot of times because for things like this, I don't want to use a wash on it. You know, and I can control how much paint is actually going onto these areas. And the thing about dry brushing it is it often gives it this greasy, smeared, weathered appearance, which you often see in real life. I mean, look at that. That looks realistic. And that's all there is to it. And ladies and gentlemen, there is your World of Halo 4-inch scale Warthog.